Hi, this is Tisch Aitken, and it is Saturday, May 31st, 2025. We are in Gemini season, and we had a magical new moon on Monday the 26th. And yesterday, Mercury, which is the ruler of the sign of Gemini, was Cazimi, the sun in Gemini. And this is when the two come together. And this is really about focusing on what you want to learn and connecting and communicating. And this has been a really good vibe that's been needed, because if you really think about it, for the majority of the year, we began the year with Mars retrograde, which felt very restricted and restrictive. And Mars did station direct on February 23rd, but it didn't clear its shadow till May 2nd. So that feels held back. And then Venus retrograded from March 1st through April 12th. Didn't clear its shadow till May 16th. Then we had the eclipses. We had Mercury retrograde mirroring Venus retrograde, going back and forth from Aries to Pisces, and getting slammed by Saturn and Neptune. So it was tough. Well, since Gemini season began, really after maybe the end of Taurus season, because by May 15th, May 16th, Venus had cleared its shadow. Mars cleared its shadow on May 2nd. So by that time, we started moving ahead. But then when the sun entered Gemini, it formed a beautiful trine to Pluto, which is really empowering. And then Mercury joined Gemini on May 25th. It's going to be there through June 8th. And then the new moon formed a beautiful trine to Pluto and Aquarius. And this is giving us those glimpses of hope, those really early glimpses of hope that maybe have been really difficult to tap into thus far, because it's been so much change with Pluto and Aquarius, and fast, rapid change, and yet very difficult to navigate with very heavy Neptunian influences, particularly February, March, April. And now we don't have any outer planets in the sign of Neptune, or any personal planets. We've got the north node of karma, but Saturn and Neptune will return to the last degrees of Pisces in the spring, but we have a little time right now to not navigate the fog. Neptune is at the world point, or close to it. It's at 2 degrees now, but it's close to 0 degrees of Aries. That is navigating a new dream for all of us in the sign of new beginnings. Saturn, which is the planet of structure, how you build things, how you strategize your goals and plan ahead. Saturn entered Aries on May 24th and will remain there through September 1st. Saturn in Aries is tough, but it is this time being narrated to some extent, or influenced, I should say, not narrated, but influenced highly by Neptune in Aries, because that hasn't happened since 1861. And Neptune takes approximately 165 years to orbit, and that is giving us all a new dream to create, and also again saying, Saturn, don't be so tough. Tomorrow, Venus will meet up with Chiron, the wounded healer, and the two are meeting up at 25 degrees and 44 minutes of the cardinal fire sign of Aries. Lots of Aries points. We've got Chiron, the wounded healer. We've got Aries, the goddess of discord. We've got both Saturn and Neptune, outer planets, all in Aries, giving a lot of fiery energy. But the reason why Saturn is in its fall position is the sun is exalted and so confident in Aries, and Saturn can be very critical. It could say, you're not doing this right. You're not good at this. You didn't put enough work or effort. And this is where even Venus meeting up with Chiron in Aries, Venus is in its detriment in Aries. Its rulership is the opposite sign of Libra. Saturn is now in its fall position in Aries. Its exaltation is the opposite sign of Libra. But we are all working with the Aries energy, saying Aries is the first sign of the zodiac. Aries is about having courage. It's ruled by Mars, the cosmic warrior of the zodiac. This is about taking initiative. Chiron is your vulnerability and your flaws, or what you perceive to be your flaws. But they're also what make you special sometimes too. We don't always think of it that way. And Chiron and Aries met up for the first of 3 times on the day of the new moon on May 26th at 25 degrees of Aries. Now Venus is meeting up with Chiron at that point. Venus is about to enter the fixed earth sign of Taurus on June 6th, where it loves to be. It rules the sign of Taurus. Right now it's in its detriment, where it doesn't like to be in Aries, but it's saying have courage to love. Open your heart. Aries and Chiron came together. That doesn't happen very frequently. Aries takes 557 years to orbit. Chiron takes over 50 years, like 50.5 years. So with that said, they're meeting up again on October 9th and a final time on March 19th of next year. This is about saying, are you tapping into the masculine energy in an effective way, as is Saturn in Aries? Because Aries is ruled by the very masculine and fiery sign of Mars. Yet Aries is very much a part of the story. And this is where even Neptune in Aries is kind of blurring the boundaries, saying, what does it mean to be in the masculine and the feminine to some level? Or that we each have to tap into both and find different ways of thinking. And that, a lot of the astrology is pointing to different ways of thinking. And so we've got Aries, and Chiron coming together 3 times, saying you've got to face what you perceive as flaws and weaponize them to help you to move ahead. Don't victimize yourself, but say, in spite of this, I can do that. I've learned the lessons by these challenges I've endured, whatever it may be for you. And then we've got Venus about to enter Taurus, which will be lovely, and that'll be again on the 6th of June. But on the 4th of June, Venus sextiles Jupiter, and that is really nice energy. So we're building up to that now, and even though Venus and Chiron are meeting up together to say, hey, okay, you've got painful situations you've dealt with, you've got loss, you've got fear, you want to be loved, you want to have security, you want to have value, you're reevaluating your values in this time. But this is a time to say, have courage. Gemini season, learning, communicating. This new moon gave us previews. This is a very phenomenal year because we had Pluto return to the sign of Aquarius at the end of last year on November 19th. Then Neptune entered the sign of Aries on March 30th. Saturn just entered Aries on May 24th. Next, we're going to have Jupiter, which has a shorter orbit. It takes 12 years to orbit. It's going to enter the sign of Cancer on June 9th. Prosperous, exalted, lovely energy. And then Uranus, the planet of surprise, excitement, and turbulence and the unexpected, enters the sign of Gemini on July 7th through November 6th. Saturn, Neptune, and Uranus will be in different signs. Neptune and Saturn in Aries, and Uranus and Gemini for part of the year, and then they return to the signs they've been in. So Uranus has been in Taurus. It's not done with Taurus yet. It comes back on November 6th. Neptune and Saturn were in the sign of Pisces. Well, Saturn returns to Pisces on September 1st, and Neptune returns on October 22nd, then they come back in the beginning of next year and they meet up exactly at 0 degrees of Aries on February 20th, initiating a whole new dream. If you're feeling fragile right now, even though there is a lot of excitement, that's okay. This is where with Chiron, if you face those vulnerabilities and those fears and you feel the emotions to heal, that's going to facilitate your spiritual growth process. And with Neptune in a new sign, it's encapsulating all of the lessons it gleaned from when Neptune was in Pisces, which began in early 2011, and it's not done yet. It's going to return to the final degree of the zodiac from October 22nd through January 26th. This is a very big deal. This is an exciting time. We're going to have Uranus and Pluto forming a beautiful trine, and that will perfect this year on August 29th of 2025. And then there's more magic ahead next year with Neptune working in tandem, and we'll get more into that. So it's okay if you feel angry and fiery. People might be more fired up with 4 points in Aries. Again, Saturn and Neptune. Saturn's there through September 1st. Neptune is there through October 22nd of this year. Then they're going to be back next year. Chiron, the wounded healer, is in the sign of Aries, and Eris, the goddess of discord, is in Aries. A lot of the heavy hitters, and so people get charged up with Aries energy. And Uranus is the rebel of the zodiac. It's going to be in the sign of communication. Maybe people will get more rebellious in their words and how they communicate, and we will see. But I also think there's going to be such an intellectual revolution with that we've already seen glimpses of. Medical advancement, anti-aging development in many big ways. I think, a lot to do with medical, just magic. It's amazing. So it's not all bad at all, but feel the feelings. Don't gloss over them. And take care. Venus meets up with Chiron tomorrow. Maybe you could feel a little bit, again, maybe you feel exposed, but use that to work to move ahead, because you have to be on the front line now with Neptune and Saturn and Aries. So take care.